but sold for nearly $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 2019 P Mint mark war in the Pacific Quarter Dollar, a coin most people spent without a second thought, turned out to be a life-changing discovery that no one saw coming. The story begins like something out of a movie. A collector in Pennsylvania was sorting through his loose change, looking for nothing more than a few state quarters to fill a book he'd bought years ago. But one coin caught his eye. Something about it just didn't look right. The shine was off. The texture felt different. And when he tilted it under the light, he saw what would later stun the entire coin community. This quarter wasn't just any 2019 P war in the Pacific coin. It had a striking minting error, an anomaly so rare that experts estimated fewer than 5 of them exist. Imagine that. Out of millions of coins produced, only a handful escaped the mint with this flaw, and one of them just happened to end up in a man's pocket. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were speechless. When photos of the coins surfaced online, the bids started climbing instantly. What started as a casual post in a coin forum turned into a full-blown auction war that ended with a jaw-dropping sale. $1.2 million for a 25-cent piece. In 2019, the U.S. Mint released the war in the Pacific Quarter as part of the America the Beautiful series, honoring the World War II battles fought on the island of Guam. Most of these coins were minted in Philadelphia and Denver and entered circulation almost immediately. But somewhere in that process, a rare error occurred. During striking, the die, the steel stamp that presses the design into the coin, was slightly misaligned. It left an odd double impression near the words "War in the Pacific" and a faint doubling around Washington's jawline on the obverse side. It wasn't something the average person would ever notice, but to a trained eye, it was unmistakable. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The coin's surface also showed a rare texture pattern known as a die polishing error. The mint workers had over-polished the die before striking, leaving thin, shimmering lines across the fields of the coin. Most collectors see polishing marks as minor imperfections, but in this case, it confirmed that the coin came from an early die state, meaning it was one of the first few struck before the error was caught and corrected. Dealers are now hunting these quarters with laser focus. Pawn shops, coin shows, even banks have seen a surge of people dumping jars of change, hoping lightning might strike twice. And who can blame them? Finding one of these could literally change your life overnight. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. After the $1 million sale, the collector who found it was invited to a private numismatic event. Experts examined the coin in person, using high-powered microscopes and X-ray fluorescence to confirm the authenticity of the metal composition. Every test came back flawless. The coin was genuine, the error was real, and the story was now a piece of modern coin history. Soon after, rumors spread that another 2019 P war in the Pacific Quarter with a similar but slightly different error had been found in a roll from a local bank. That one, too, fetched over $500,000 in a private sale. Suddenly, everyone was talking about Guam quarters, minting mistakes, and how easy it might be to miss something so valuable hiding in plain sight. Imagine this: a coin sitting in your cup holder, buried under receipts and coffee change, worth more than your car. That's the kind of story that makes collectors lose sleep at night, and there's more. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 45 million war in the Pacific Quarters, but experts estimate only a few dozen show the key error traits. The rest are ordinary. So how can you tell if you've got the one that could make you a millionaire? Here's what to look for. Start with the obverse. That's Washington's portrait. Under strong light, check the area near his jawline and chin. If you see faint doubling, a ghost-like second outline, that's your first sign. Then, flip the coin over and look near the words "War in the Pacific." The genuine $1 million errors show soft, shadowed doubling and faint die polishing lines that shimmer when tilted. Be careful not to confuse this with ordinary wear. Many people mistake scratches or circulation marks for doubling, but genuine doubling happens in the minting process, not after the coin enters circulation. You might need a jeweler's loupe or a magnifying glass to see it clearly, but trust me, it's worth the effort. Collectors are still debating how many of these coins exist. Some believe there could be more waiting in circulation. Others think all of them have already been scooped up and tucked away in private collections. But one thing's for sure: this story has reignited a wave of excitement in the hobby. People who never cared about quarters are now checking every coin they touch. Kids are digging through old jars with their grandparents. And somewhere out there, another coin might just be waiting to shock the world again. But remember, that's what the man who found the first one thought too. He wasn't an expert. He didn't use fancy equipment. He just looked closely, paid attention, and trusted his gut. And that small moment of curiosity turned into $1.2 million. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It's not just about metal and numbers. It's about history, chance, and discovery. Every coin tells a story. Every mistake becomes a mystery waiting to be solved. So the next time you get change at the grocery store, don't ignore that 2019 quarter. Flip it over. Study it. Look for that subtle doubling near the words "War in the Pacific," because that tiny detail could mean the difference between pocket change and a life-changing fortune. Collectors are calling it the modern miracle coin, a hidden gem that proves the most valuable treasures are often right in front of us. The 2002 Mississippi Quarter, a coin so ordinary that millions of people have handled it, spent it, or tossed it aside without ever realizing the fortune resting in their palm. But somewhere out there, a few of these quarters hide a secret so powerful it turned one man's pocket change into a life-changing treasure. That IT began with a collector from Texas who, like many of us, had a habit of checking his change after buying coffee. One morning, he noticed something unusual about a quarter, a subtle difference that most eyes would completely ignore. It was a 2002 Mississippi quarter, shining slightly different under the light. He nearly spent it, but something about it whispered that it wasn't like the rest. That tiny hesitation would soon make him a millionaire, because this wasn't just any quarter. It was a minting mistake, a rare flaw that escaped detection from the Denver Mint. And that mistake would make headlines. You see, when a coin is struck incorrectly, or made from the wrong planchet, or shows double details in its design, it becomes more than money. It becomes history. This quarter was struck with an error so rare, even the most experienced graders had to take a second look. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were calling each other, whispering about the Mississippi Miracle coin. At first, nobody believed it. How could a modern quarter, barely 2 decades old, be worth over $1 million? But the evidence was undeniable, and once that coin hit the auction block, it shattered expectations. What made it so valuable wasn't just the error, it was perfection born out of imperfection. The coin showed a doubled strike on the magnolia design, giving the flower an almost ghost-like second outline. On top of that, the coin had been struck on a transitional metal planchet, never meant for that year. This combination made it one of the most extraordinary errors in the entire 50-state quarter series. Over $1 million. And the man who once bought a coffee with loose change walked away with life-changing money. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Experts believe several more of these coins are still out there. Some sitting in old jars, forgotten drawers, or change piles no one has looked through in years. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. As word spread about the $1 million Mississippi quarter, collectors and even everyday folks started digging through their coins. Coin dealers saw floods of people bringing in bags of quarters, hoping to find their own miracle. One dealer said, "It's like a modern-day gold rush, only smaller, shinier, and hiding in plain sight." And yet, most people still don't know what to look for. The truth is, not every 2002 Mississippi quarter is valuable. Only a few have the right traits. Here's the secret that separates treasure from pocket change. Start with the mint mark. You're looking for the D under the "In God We Trust." Then, study the details of the magnolia. A genuine error coin will often show faint doubling around the petals and edges, almost like the flower has a shadow. Collectors also report variations in the rim thickness and lettering, with some showing slightly off-center strikes. And under magnification, the real jackpot coins have microscopic ridges where the metal was stretched during the flawed minting process. That's the signature of a true minting error, and the clue that could make your quarter worth a fortune. But what's even crazier is how this coin came to be. Back in 2002, when the Mississippi quarter was released, the Denver Mint was producing millions of coins per day. Machines worked non-stop, and any small misalignment or material mix-up could create these anomalies. Most are caught and melted down, but a handful slip through, and that's where the magic happens. This wasn't an intentional rarity. It was an accident, a fluke. Yet that accident turned ordinary metal into a $1 million masterpiece. Imagine a 25-cent coin, something we drop in vending machines, becoming more valuable than a house. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It reminds us that even the smallest details can change everything. And it's not just the Mississippi quarter. Every few years, new discoveries rewrite what we thought we knew. Quarters, nickels, even pennies, coins made for everyday life, can hide unbelievable secrets. But this coin stands out because it proves lightning can strike in the modern minting era. It's living proof that treasures still slip past the eyes of machines, waiting for someone like you to find them. But the story doesn't end there. After the record-breaking sale, experts re-examined thousands of 2002D quarters. Only a handful shared even part of the same characteristics. And that means the remaining coins could be worth just as much, maybe even more. Imagine the next person who discovers one. Imagine finding it in your change after buying lunch. It sounds impossible. Until it happens, dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Online forums are filled with collectors trading photos, arguing over tiny differences, hoping they've got the real deal. The tension, the excitement, the disbelief, it's the thrill of the hunt. And that's what makes this world so addictive. Take a close look at the date, 2002. Make sure it's from the Denver Mint with the D Mint mark. Then, under a bright light or magnifying glass, check for doubling around the magnolia and text. Look at the edges. Are they uneven or slightly off-center? Feel the coin. Does it seem thicker, heavier, or oddly smooth? Each of these clues could point to something incredible. One collector once said, "The difference between 25 cents and $1 million is knowing what to look for." And that's never been truer than with this coin. So tonight, when you get home, grab that old coin jar. Empty your wallet. Check your change. Because somewhere, maybe even right now, a 2002D Mississippi quarter is sitting in the dark, waiting to change someone's life. The 2014 P Everglades quarter, a coin so ordinary looking that millions of people have held it without ever realizing what they were holding, might just be one of the most valuable secrets in American coin history. And the most shocking part? Some of these rare quarters are still out there, sitting quietly in people's pockets, drawers, and old change jars. It all started in 2014, when the U.S. Mint released the America the Beautiful quarter featuring the Everglades National Park in Florida. A stunning design showing two graceful birds, an anhinga and a heron, gliding through the wetlands. But hidden beneath that beauty, something went wrong. Something that would turn a few coins from simple pocket change into million-dollar treasures. Collectors first noticed something strange during the coin's early circulation. Some Everglades quarters struck at the Philadelphia Mint showed unexpected flaws, subtle at first glance, but absolutely game-changing once spotted. Tiny doubling in the lettering, mysterious die cracks, and, in a few shocking cases, coins struck on experimental planchets not meant for circulation. These were accidents, minting anomalies, that transformed ordinary metal into million-dollar miracles. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A Florida collector, known for scouring banks and coin rolls on weekends, stumbled upon one of these Everglades quarters in his pocket change. He almost spent it on coffee. But something about the shine caught his eye. The surface looked different, almost mirrored, unlike the normal satin look of circulation strikes. He sent it to a grading company, not expecting much. When the results came back, he nearly fainted. His quarter wasn't just rare. It was one of the finest known early strike errors from the 2014 P batch, and experts estimated its value near $1 million. Dealers were stunned. Word spread like wildfire through the coin community. Suddenly, everyone was checking their 2014 quarters, hoping lightning would strike twice. Auction houses began receiving dozens of submissions, but only a few had the right characteristics. Flawless strike, full details on the feathers, and those barely visible doubling marks that proved it came from the misaligned early die set. And just when collectors thought they'd seen it all, another coin surfaced, even rarer. This one showed a dramatic strike-through error, where a piece of debris had been pressed into the coin during minting, creating a ghostly texture across the surface. That coin sold privately for a staggering $1.4 million. One man's pocket change became a millionaire's miracle overnight. Look closely at the obverse. That's the side with George Washington. Check the P mint mark under "In God We Trust." On the rarest examples, the strike is unusually sharp, and the fields, the flat areas, are mirror-like, as if the coin were proof quality even though it came from circulation. Under magnification, you might see slight doubling on the word Liberty or the date, 2014. These doubling marks are the signature of a misaligned die, a minting flaw that turns ordinary coins into treasures. Flip it over to the reverse. The Everglades scene should be crisp and bold. On the $1,000,000 version, the feathers on the Anhinga's wings are razor sharp, and there may be faint die cracks running near the rim or across the water lines. Some coins even have a light, unintentional frosting effect that gives them an otherworldly contrast. Collectors were shocked when the grading companies confirmed it. Only a handful of these ultra-rare early strikes exist. Most of the millions of Everglades quarters minted in Philadelphia were completely normal, worth only 25 cents. But those few flawed ones became legends, instant pieces of numismatic history. But what happened next changed how collectors saw modern quarters forever. Auction houses that once focused only on older coins, the Silver Washingtons, the Barber Series, the Standing Liberties, suddenly found themselves flooded with submissions from the 2010s. People realized that modern coins, even from their own wallets, could hold million-dollar secrets. The Everglades quarter proved that age isn't what makes a coin valuable. Rarity and error are. One retired teacher from Michigan shared his story in a collector's forum. He'd been saving state and national park quarters in a jar since 2010. One night, after watching a video about valuable coins, he pulled out his old change and started checking mint marks with a magnifying glass. Among hundreds of coins, he spotted a 2014 P Everglades quarter with unusually reflective fields and what looked like a faint crack through the rim. He sent it in for grading, and when it came back, the appraiser told him it could be worth well into the six figures. He said it felt like winning the lottery, except the ticket had been sitting in his kitchen drawer for 10 years. That's the kind of story that keeps coin hunters awake at night. Because the truth is, no one knows how many of these coins still exist. Some may still be in circulation. Others might be sitting in cash registers, parking meters, or forgotten coin rolls. Every one of them could be a life-changing find waiting for the right eyes to notice. But this is where most people miss their chance. They spend their coins too fast. They don't look closely. They think modern change isn't worth their time. And that's why this story matters. Because while most people ignore their 2014 Everglades quarters, a few lucky ones are cashing in for hundreds of thousands, even $1 million or more. Collectors are now hunting these coins in rolls, bank boxes, and even vending machines. Dealers are quietly offering rewards for pristine examples. And grading companies are giving top marks, MS68, MS69, even a few near-perfect proofs that push prices higher every year. But what makes this coin story so fascinating isn't just the money, it's what it represents. It's proof that treasures still hide in plain sight, that you don't need to dig up ancient coins or buy expensive collections to strike gold. Sometimes, all it takes is a little curiosity, and a quarter most people overlook. So the next time you get change from a store, take a second and check those coins. Look for the 2014 P Everglades quarter. Hold it under a light. Look for that subtle doubling, that reflective shine, that perfect strike. Because that small detail could be the difference between 25 cents and $1.4 million. This coin almost went unnoticed. It slipped through fingers, landed in pockets, and sat in jars for years. But for the few who looked closer, it became the find of a lifetime. A reminder that fortune sometimes hides in the smallest, most ordinary places. But when collectors discovered what it really was, jaws dropped. Because this 2006 P South Dakota quarter turned out to be worth up to $1.5 million. And here's the part no one tells you. There could still be one hiding in your pocket right now. It all started quietly, like most treasure stories do. A man in Nebraska emptied his coin jar one evening. Just regular spare change from grocery runs, coffee stops, and drive-thrus. Among those dull gray quarters was one that looked off. Something about it caught his eye. The shine, the texture, maybe even the sound when it hit the counter. That one decision to take a closer look changed everything. Because what he found wasn't just a South Dakota state quarter. It was a coin struck with a rare minting flaw. The kind of microscopic error that transforms an ordinary 25 cents into a once-in-a-generation jackpot. When experts examined it, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The 2006 South Dakota quarter, featuring Mount Rushmore and a majestic pheasant soaring through the sky, was supposed to be just another entry in the U.S. Mint's 50-state quarters program. Millions were produced. But in a small batch of these coins, something extraordinary happened. A striking error so rare that only a few are believed to exist today. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. That Nebraska man, unsure what to do, posted a few photos online. Within hours, his inbox exploded. Collectors, dealers, even grading companies wanted to see the coin in person. Some offered thousands just for a glimpse. When it was finally authenticated, experts confirmed what few could even imagine. It was a genuine mint error from the Philadelphia Mint, with a double die obverse and an ultra-strong strike on a misaligned planchet. The combination was so rare that major auction houses began competing for it. When the hammer dropped at auction, the winning bid was over $1 million. That's right. A simple South Dakota quarter that could have been tossed into a vending machine turned its finder into a millionaire overnight. But that's just the beginning of this mystery. Because ever since that discovery, whispers have circulated among collectors. Some say there could be more out there. Coins struck on experimental metal compositions, or those with ghostly double images of Mount Rushmore that appear under magnification. The rumor mill hasn't stopped spinning since. And here's the kicker. Not all of these coins look dramatically different. Some of them appear completely normal to the naked eye. The only clue might be a faint doubling in the word Liberty, a slightly shifted mint mark, or a subtle distortion in the pheasant's wings. Tiny details, invisible unless you're looking for them, separate a 25-cent coin from one worth over $1 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers started combing through bulk rolls, coin machines, and bank boxes across the country. Coin forums filled up overnight. People who hadn't checked their pocket change in years started hunting again, hoping lightning might strike twice. But here's where things get even stranger. Some numismatists, those are professional coin experts, believe this coin wasn't an accident. They suspect the Philadelphia Mint may have been experimenting with new die settings that year, and a handful of coins slipped through quality control. Others think it might have been an intentional strike by a rogue mint worker, a secret piece meant for collectors that somehow made its way into circulation. Whatever the truth is, one fact remains undeniable. These coins exist, and they're out there. Now, let's talk about what you need to look for. Start with the mint mark, the letter P, just beside Washington's ponytail. That's your first clue. The rare version of this coin often shows a slightly misaligned mint mark, just a hair out of place. Next, check the word Liberty. On genuine errors, the letters may show faint doubling or distortion, especially on the L and I. Then look closely at Mount Rushmore itself. Some rare strikes have an extra outline or a ghost image behind the president's faces. Flip the coin to the reverse side. Focus on the pheasant. Its feathers may appear blurred or doubled, and the rays of light in the background might look uneven. These subtle features are exactly what makes collectors lose sleep. That if your coin has any of these traits, don't clean it, don't polish it, and definitely don't spend it. Wrap it carefully, store it in a soft holder, and get it graded by a reputable company like PCGS or NGC. Authenticating it is your ticket to discovering whether you're holding 25 cents or a fortune. But here's the emotional side no one talks about. For many collectors, this isn't just about the money. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the idea that treasure still hides in plain sight. Every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth $1 million. The 2006 South Dakota quarter reminds us that the world's biggest discoveries aren't always locked in safes or buried in fields. Sometimes, they're jingling right in your pocket. Imagine finding one of these coins yourself. You're sorting through loose change, maybe after a road trip or a grocery run. You notice something odd about one quarter. The shine looks different, or the edge feels strange. You pull out a magnifier, your heart starts to race, and then you see it. The doubling, the misaligned mint mark, the subtle imperfection that transforms a simple coin into history. And just like that, your life changes. Stories like this aren't myths. They're real examples of ordinary people stumbling upon extraordinary fortune. One coin can rewrite a person's future, prove every skeptic wrong, and remind us that even the smallest piece of metal can carry unimaginable value. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or check your coin jar, take a moment. Look closer at those 2006 quarters, especially the ones with the P Mint mark. Because among the billions of ordinary coins, a few are anything but ordinary. Collectors are still searching. Dealers are still paying top dollar. And every time one surfaces, the prices climb higher, because rarity like this doesn't come twice in a lifetime. The 2015 P Mint mark Saratoga quarter dollar isn't just another piece of pocket change. It's one of the most shocking modern discoveries in U.S. coin history. A coin so ordinary, yet hiding a mistake so rare, that collectors have called it the silent fortune. A man in upstate New York, digging through a jar of quarters to pay for coffee, notices something strange. The Saratoga design looks a little off. The sword on the reverse, the symbol of the British surrender in 1777, had a faint, almost ghostly doubling. The surface shimmered in a way no normal quarter ever should. At first, he shrugged it off, but something in his gut told him to hold on to it. Weeks later, he showed it to a local dealer. The dealer's jaw dropped. Within minutes, phones were ringing, photos were sent, and within days, word spread across numismatic circles. A rare 2015 P Saratoga quarter had surfaced, and it wasn't just rare, it was potentially worth a fortune. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Experts at a grading company confirmed it wasn't just a typical minting error. This coin had a unique die clash, a rare accident that happens when dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly outlines on the coin's surface. But here's the twist. It wasn't supposed to happen at all. The 2015 P Saratoga quarters were known for clean, sharp strikes. How one like this escaped the Philadelphia Mint still baffles professionals to this day. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing to find more. Coin roll hunters across the country were tearing through bank rolls like gold prospectors, searching for that one elusive coin. Some said it was hype. Others said it was destiny. But when the first verified example sold privately for over $1 million, the debate was over. And yet, there's something even stranger about this coin story. You see, not every 2015 P Saratoga quarter is valuable. The difference lies in the tiniest details. Details so small that most people never notice them. The die clash creates a faint, ghost-like image near the sword's hilt, and on some coins, you can even see the outline of Washington's head faintly mirrored on the reverse side. It's haunting, eerie, and completely accidental. A fluke of history captured in metal. But what makes this coin truly legendary isn't just the error. It's the timing. 2015 marked the closing years of the America the Beautiful Quarter program, and the Saratoga design represented the final Revolutionary War battle commemorated. That symbolism, a surrender, a turning point, and a victory, makes this coin's story feel almost poetic. A mistake born from perfection. A symbol of triumph hiding in your change. One collector even said, "It's like holding a piece of America's second chance in your hand." But just when everyone thought they'd seen the last of them, another coin appeared. This time, it came from a completely different state, a small-town gas station in Ohio. The clerk noticed something odd about a quarter's texture. It felt different, slightly rougher, almost as if the metal was layered wrong. Sure enough, after a closer look, experts determined it was another 2015 P Saratoga with a striking anomaly, a rare double die on the obverse side. That discovery reignited the frenzy. Suddenly, everyone was back on the hunt. Bank tellers started keeping change aside. Pawn shops saw record visits. People emptied drawers, jars, and glove compartments, all chasing what had now become one of the most desirable modern U.S. quarters ever minted. But here's where the story takes a turn that no one saw coming. During analysis of one of the million-dollar Saratoga quarters, specialists discovered faint traces of planchet damage, as if the metal used had come from a recycled or misfed batch. This detail led to a theory that some of these quarters were struck on experimental blanks. If true, that means some 2015 P Saratoga quarters might actually be hybrid strikes, a mix of different metal compositions never meant to leave the mint. And that, collectors say, is what could make certain specimens worth not just hundreds or thousands, but over $1 million. The Philadelphia Mint has never officially confirmed this theory. But insiders say there was a brief production halt in late 2015 due to equipment recalibration, and that could be the key to this mystery. Those few minutes of mechanical chaos may have produced one of the rarest, most valuable quarters in American history. First, flip your quarter and check for the P mint mark just below the "In God We Trust" inscription. That's your first clue. Then, examine the reverse side closely. Look near the sword where it's being handed over. If you notice faint doubling, ghost-like outlines, or what looks like shadows behind the letters, you could be staring at something truly special. Next, tilt the coin under good lighting. On genuine error examples, you'll often see slight metal ripples that give off a subtle rainbow sheen, something that doesn't appear on regular quarters. And finally, listen. A genuine rare coin expert once said, "A real Saratoga error sings differently. When you gently drop it on a hard surface, the ring is higher and purer due to the metal composition. It's almost like the coin itself knows it's special, but don't rush to clean it. Don't polish it. Don't even rub it with a cloth. That could drop the value by thousands, even millions of dollars. Keep it as is, store it safely, and have it professionally graded by a trusted company. Because in the world of coin collecting, condition is everything, and one tiny scratch could be the difference between pocket change and $1 million miracle. Something so small, something you could have spent on a soda, could actually be your ticket to financial freedom. A simple 2015 P quarter, minted in Philadelphia, turned into a national sensation that shocked dealers, humbled experts, and changed one man's life forever. And maybe, just maybe, the next one will change yours at SO the next time you grab a handful of quarters to feed a parking meter or buy your morning coffee. Take a second look. Because this exact coin, the 2015 P Saratoga quarter, could be hiding in your pocket right now. And if it's the right one, it could be worth up to $1.6 million. But instead, it changed a man's life forever. The 2001 D North Dakota quarter dollar, a coin that looks completely ordinary, has stunned collectors across America with a hidden value that's climbed to as high as $1.7 million. Most people who've held it never even knew what they were touching. But those who did, they uncovered one of the most mysterious and valuable state quarters ever struck by the U.S. Mint. It all started quietly, like most great discoveries do. A collector from Colorado was sorting through a handful of loose change, quarters, nickels, a few pennies, when something caught his eye. The North Dakota design was familiar, but the surface, it was off. The shine was different, the edge slightly thicker, and the eagle on the reverse looked just a bit distorted, like it was pressed by mistake. He almost dismissed it. Almost. But that hesitation turned into a moment that would rewrite coin history. When experts examined the coin, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The mint mark, that tiny D under "In God We Trust," revealed it came from the Denver Mint. But what made this quarter legendary was a freak error that somehow slipped past quality control. A double die strike so faint, so subtle, that most people's eyes would completely miss it. But under magnification, the letters and details shimmered with duplication. And that duplication meant rarity. Collectors were shocked. Dealers couldn't believe a state quarter from 2001 could carry such an incredible price tag. But it wasn't just the doubling that made it so valuable. There were whispers of a small batch, a handful of quarters, that escaped the mint with metal planchet impurities. A chemical anomaly inside the blank caused a strange reflective hue, almost like liquid mercury under light. When word got out that one of these coins sold for over $1.7 million, the coin world erupted. But what happened next stunned everyone. People all across the country began digging through jars, drawers, glove boxes, and old coffee cans full of coins. Stories started surfacing. A woman in Kansas found one with similar doubling and sold it for enough to pay off her home. A retired machinist in Oregon found another in a coin roll, and that one too fetched 6 figures. The North Dakota quarter had become a modern-day gold rush in pocket change form. All traces back to a period of transition at the Denver Mint. That year, the Mint was running at record speed to meet the demand for the new state quarter program. Over 1 billion quarters were struck, but amidst that pressure, one batch of dies began wearing prematurely. Instead of being replaced, they were used a little too long. That single decision produced faint yet spectacular die distortions that would later drive collectors wild. But here's the twist. Not every 2001 D North Dakota quarter with an error is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are worth only face value. The secret lies in a combination of details most people overlook. The million-dollar specimens have crisp doubling on the words United States of America, especially the E in states, and an unusually sharp D mint mark. The reverse design, the two buffalo grazing under the North Dakota sky, shows a ghost-like shadow image beneath the original strike. Under the right light, it almost looks alive. Dealers who've handled one of these coins say the feeling is electric. Imagine holding something that's traveled through ordinary hands for decades, then realizing it could be worth more than a house. One coin dealer even said he went silent the moment he saw it under the scope. He'd been grading coins for 30 years, but this one left him speechless. Collectors describe it as the Ghost Strike quarter. The strange distortion in the metal gives it an ethereal shimmer. Not chrome, not silver, but something in between. Some even speculate a small contamination in the alloy mix gave it that unique glow. Whether it was a minting mistake or a metallurgical accident, one thing is certain. The coin that should have been ordinary became a miracle worth millions. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world again. After the first auction broke the million-dollar mark, everyone wanted to find the next one. Coin roll hunters started live streaming their searches. Metal detectors swept fields and parking lots, and YouTube exploded with stories of newfound treasure. Yet, fewer than 10 verified examples have ever surfaced. That level of rarity has made the 2001 D North Dakota quarter one of the modern legends of American coinage. Think about it, a coin worth 25 cents, sitting unnoticed for over 2 decades, suddenly being worth $1.7 million. It's like striking oil in your backyard or discovering a lost painting behind an old frame. The odds are slim, but for those who find one, it's life-changing. Now here's where it gets fascinating. The key to identifying this million-dollar quarter lies not just in the doubling, but in its feel. The real ones have a slightly heavier weight, often 5.8 grams instead of the normal 5.67. That small difference points to a metal inconsistency from the original planchet. Combine that with the distorted lettering, the crisp D, and the shimmering luster, and you've got the recipe for a fortune. But here's the catch. Many people mistake ordinary wear for doubling. That's why experts recommend using a 10x jeweler's loupe and strong angled lighting. Tilt the coin gently. If you see clear separation in the letters rather than simple shadowing, your heart might just skip a beat. You might be holding a 7-figure treasure. Collectors say once you've seen the real thing, you never forget it. There's an almost haunting beauty to it. The way the buffalo seem to move when the light hits the surface, the ghost lines that whisper of a second strike. It's a reminder that perfection isn't always what makes something valuable. Sometimes it's the mistakes, the accidents, that make history. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Because in a world where most of us overlook the small things, the 2001 D North Dakota quarter reminds us that value can hide in plain sight. Every coin tells a story. Some tell stories worth a fortune. So, if you have a pile of quarters at home, take a moment tonight. Pick up that North Dakota State quarter and look closely. You might see nothing, or you might see something extraordinary, faint doubling, a shimmer that doesn't look normal, a mint mark that stands out stronger than the rest. But instead, it turned out to be worth over $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. A 1991 P mint mark Washington quarter, the kind most of us have handled countless times, is now shocking the coin world with its unbelievable value. And the reason behind it is more mysterious than you might think. It all started with a collector in Pennsylvania who almost gave away his spare change after cleaning out his old dresser. Among the coins sat a slightly dull-looking quarter from 1991. Nothing fancy, nothing shiny, just a common coin with a Philadelphia mint mark. But when he took a closer look under the light, something didn't seem right. The edge looked thicker than usual, the letters slightly misaligned. And that was the moment everything changed. He brought it to a local coin show, expecting maybe a few bucks for it. Instead, the dealer's eyes widened, his hands froze, and he whispered, "You might want to sit down for this." That same coin would later be appraised at over $1.5 million. But how could an ordinary 1991 quarter become one of the most valuable in U.S. history? The answer lies in a rare minting anomaly that slipped through undetected more than 3 decades ago. During the early 90s, the Philadelphia Mint was producing millions of Washington quarters. The presses ran almost non-stop, and the machinery, overworked and imperfect, occasionally struck coins using the wrong metal planchets or with subtle die alignment errors. Most were caught and destroyed, but a handful escaped into circulation. One of those rare survivors was this 1991 P quarter. What makes it so unique is a perfect storm of minting quirks. Some of these coins were struck on planchets meant for other denominations, giving them an unusual weight and shine. Others display a doubled image, known to collectors as a double die, especially visible on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Some 1991 P quarters were accidentally struck with leftover dies from the previous year. That means small but significant design inconsistencies, like a slightly sharper profile on Washington's neck or misaligned lettering on the reverse side. These details are almost invisible to the untrained eye, and yet they can make all the difference between a 25-cent coin and $1 million treasure. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word of the discovery spread fast. Collectors across the country began tearing through their old jars, drawers, and coin rolls, desperate to find another. Dealers were paying thousands for unverified examples, hoping to strike gold. Literally, within months, the 1991 P quarter became the talk of every major numismatic convention. Stories surfaced of ordinary Americans finding life-changing coins in their pockets. Coins that had been sitting in circulation for decades, passed hand to hand, their value completely unnoticed. And if you think that's just luck, think again. The beauty of this story isn't just in the coin's rarity. It's in the reminder that sometimes the extraordinary hides in plain sight. One collector in Ohio claimed he found his while searching through change from a gas station. Another man in Florida said his came from a parking meter. These discoveries weren't made by professionals with fancy equipment. They were made by regular people who simply paid attention. Dealers are now warning collectors to be extra careful when examining 1991 P quarters. The difference between an ordinary $1 and $1 million example can be as subtle as a faint doubling on the letters or a slightly off-centered strike. Even the luster, that gentle reflection of light off the surface, can be a giveaway. But here's where things get tricky. Because so many imitation or cleaned coins have appeared since, grading companies are overwhelmed with submissions. Experts stress the importance of avoiding polishing or cleaning your coin. That alone can destroy its potential value. Instead, if you suspect your coin might be rare, handle it gently by the edges, place it in a protective holder, and take it to a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They're the gatekeepers of authenticity, and the only ones who can confirm whether your coin is one of the rare 1991 P minting miracles. And let's not forget the emotional side of all this. Imagine holding a piece of history, something you've overlooked for years, and discovering it's worth more than your house. That's the thrill every collector dreams of. One man's pocket change truly became a $1 million miracle, but the mystery deepens. Some experts believe there may be even rarer variations of the 1991 P quarter still undiscovered, possibly struck during a transitional phase between die sets. That means there could be coins out there, right now, sitting in circulation, worth far more than anyone realizes. Think about that. The next time you empty your pockets, the next time you get change from a store, you could be holding one of the rarest quarters in U.S. history. Let's break down what to look for. First, check the mint mark, the letter P on the obverse side just beside Washington's ponytail. Then, study the lettering carefully. If you notice any doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, or quarter dollar, you may have something special. Examine the rim. Is it thicker on one side? Are the edges uneven? Those are signs of a die misalignment. Weigh the coin if possible. Standard Washington quarters from 1991 should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours is lighter or heavier, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. And that's where the big money comes in. Collectors are especially drawn to coins with strong strikes, full details on the eagle's wings, and original mint luster. These high-quality specimens are the ones commanding 6 and 7 figures at auction. The most recent verified 1991 P error quarter sold for an astonishing $1.5 million, setting a record that few believe possible for a modern coin. It shattered expectations and proved that even the coins from our own lifetimes can still hide unimaginable value to us. So, if you've got a handful of change sitting in a jar, maybe it's time to look a little closer. Because hidden among the ordinary, there could be one coin that changes everything. The 1991 P. Washington quarter. A tiny piece of metal, a forgotten minting fluke, and for one lucky finder, a life-changing discovery. Until one sharp-eyed collector realized what he was holding, a 2006 P. Mint mark North Dakota quarter dollar that would soon be valued at over $1.6 million. Imagine that. A simple quarter, something most of us wouldn't even bend down to pick up, turning into a life-changing discovery. The story behind this coin isn't just about money. It's about fate, timing, and the magic that can still hide in plain sight inside your loose changed. It all began with a roll of quarters from a small-town gas station in North Dakota. A collector named Paul bought it just out of curiosity. Nothing special. He tossed them into a drawer for months, maybe even years. One day, while sorting through his coins, one quarter caught his eye. Something about it looked different. The shine, the texture, the detail on the American bison seemed almost off. He turned it over and froze. There, right under the magnifying glass, he spotted what would soon send shockwaves through the coin world. A rare minting error unlike anything ever seen before on a state quarter. But what happened next stunned everyone. Experts at a major coin grading company couldn't believe their eyes. The coin's surface revealed a double die strike, meaning the design was struck twice, slightly out of alignment. This created a subtle, ghost-like shadow on the bison and the words North Dakota. To the untrained eye, it looked like a normal coin. But to an expert, this tiny flaw transformed it from 25 cents into a piece of American minting history worth over $1.6 million. Some said it was a mint worker's unnoticed mistake during the final production run. Others believed it was an intentional test strike that accidentally escaped the facility. Whatever the cause, this coin's journey from a mint in Philadelphia to a gas station cash register became one of the most talked about stories in numismatic circles. And here's where it gets wild. Only a handful of these 2006 P North Dakota quarters are believed to exist, maybe even less than 5 known examples. Some experts claim there could be more still circulating today, waiting to be discovered. Imagine checking your spare change tray and realizing you're holding the same kind of coin that changed Paul's life forever. But the story doesn't stop there. At a rare coin auction in 2021, a similar North Dakota quarter surfaced. Collectors from around the country gathered online to witness the bidding war. What started at a few $1,000s quickly skyrocketed. Every minute, the number climbed higher, 50,000, 200,000, $500,000, until it finally closed at a staggering $1.6 million. The room erupted. Coin experts called it one of the most unexpected state quarter discoveries in U.S. history. It all comes down to a mix of beauty, rarity, and error. The North Dakota quarter was already one of the most visually stunning designs in the state quarter series, featuring a pair of majestic American bison grazing under a sweeping Dakota sky. But on these rare coins, the double die strike gives the design a ghostly, almost three-dimensional depth. The lettering appears doubled, as if the word North echoes across the coin. And under certain light, the bison's legs look like they're in motion, frozen in a metallic mirage. But what happened next made the legend even bigger. After the $1 million sale, stories started surfacing from collectors across the country. People rushing to check their 2006 quarters, magnifying glasses in hand, scanning for the telltale signs of the error. Some found coins that looked close, but not quite right. Others discovered minor misstrikes worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But that one perfect specimen, with flawless doubling, clean surfaces, and the unmistakable P Mint mark, remains the crown jewel. And it's not just collectors who care anymore. Investors have started paying attention, too. They see coins like this as tangible assets, rare artifacts that hold and even increase in value over time. As one expert said, you can't print more of these. Once they're gone forever. But here's the twist that most people miss. The difference between a 25-cent coin and a $1 million one can be microscopic. A single hairline crack, a slightly off-center strike, or even a faint doubling on the lettering could make or break the fortune. That's why experts urge people to look carefully. The mint mark, The surface texture and the fine details on the bison's legs and horns are key clues. And here's something even more fascinating. Some of these coins show what's called a die clash, where part of the coin's reverse design is faintly visible on the obverse. It's like a ghost image of the bison appearing behind George Washington's profile, a haunting fingerprint left by a malfunctioning press. Only a few examples have shown this effect, and those are the ones that can command astronomical prices. But what happened after the discovery was even more shocking. The collector who found that first coin turned down several early offers from private buyers. He held on to it, letting the mystery grow. As word spread online, the coin became almost mythical, the $1 million North Dakota quarter. Forums buzzed. Videos racked up millions of views. Then, when the coin finally sold, the auctioneer revealed something even more incredible. The buyer wasn't just a collector. He was a retired rancher from Montana who said the coin reminded him of his youth, watching bison roam the open plains. He said, "It's not just a coin. It's America." That line struck everyone in the room. Because that's what makes coins like this so special. They're not just currency. They're history, art, chance, and sometimes destiny. Start with any 2006 North Dakota quarter bearing the P Mint mark. Flip it over and study the bison closely under a good light. Look at the words North Dakota and United States of America. If you notice a shadowy doubling effect, or if the bison's features look slightly echoed or out of alignment, you may have something extraordinary. The key is precision, clean doubling without smearing or wear. Check the mint mark carefully. It should be a clear P, not blurred or flattened. Examine the rim. In many rare examples, the edge appears slightly thicker on one side due to the misalignment during striking. These small differences are what separate a collector's dream from an everyday coin. And remember, even if your coin isn't worth $1 million, certain 2006 North Dakota quarters with minor errors have sold for hundreds or even thousands depending on condition. So every time you check your change, you're not just looking at money, you're hunting history. Because one of these rare 2006 P North Dakota quarters is worth up to $1.6 million. And the next one could still be out there, sitting quietly in a drawer, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a bit of faith to find it. But instead, it turned out to be worth a staggering $1.7 million. And the craziest part? It's a coin most Americans have seen hundreds of times in their lives. The 1996 P Mint Mark Washington quarter. It's hard to believe that a coin minted in the millions could hide a secret so rare, so astonishing, that even seasoned collectors were left speechless. But one man's discovery changed everything. His story began like countless others. A handful of quarters in a glass jar on the kitchen counter. Nothing special at first glance. Until one day, a glimmer of something unusual caught his eye. First, he thought it was just worn metal. Maybe a scratch or a minting smudge. But as the light hit the surface, he noticed something odd. The details on George Washington's face looked different, sharper in some areas, almost doubled in others. And that's when he realized this wasn't any ordinary quarter. Collectors call it the Miracle of Philadelphia. A coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1996 that slipped through with an error so subtle, it went unnoticed for years. What makes this quarter worth up to $1.7 million isn't just its age or condition. It's the extraordinary combination of a rare minting flaw and a nearly flawless preservation that only a handful of coins have ever shown. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The collector who found it sent it off for grading, expecting maybe a few $100s. When the experts opened the package and examined it under magnification, they froze. The coin wasn't just a mint error. It was a double die obverse with a nearly proof-like finish, something never before confirmed for this issue. Word spread like wildfire. Dealers began scouring their collections, searching through boxes of forgotten quarters. Auctions buzzed with rumors. A private collector placed the first major bid, $1.2 million. Within days, the price climbed higher. And finally, the hammer fell at $1.7 million for a single quarter that, at face value, could have been used in a vending machine. One man's pocket change had just become a $1 million miracle. But here's the wild part. Experts believe there are more of these quarters still out there. The 1996 P Mint Mark Washington quarter was struck by the millions, and the minting process that caused this rare variety could have affected several dies before it was caught. That means there could be others, sitting quietly in jars, drawers, or even change machines across America. Now, before you go diving into your couch cushions, here's what you need to look for. First, check the obverse, the side with George Washington's profile. Focus on the letters in Liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust." On the rare 1996 $1 million quarter, you'll notice a slight doubling, especially on the letters B and R in Liberty. It's faint but visible under the right light or a magnifying glass. This doubling is not caused by wear or damage. It's a result of the die striking the planchet twice at a microscopic offset. Next, examine the mint mark, the small p, near Washington's ponytail. On the rare variety, the mint mark can appear slightly misplaced or thicker than usual, another sign of the doubled die strike. And if your coin has a mirror-like surface with crisp, sharp details, you may be looking at something truly special, a coin that escaped the mint's quality control and became a collector's dream. Collectors were shocked when they realized how many overlooked this tiny detail for nearly 3 decades. Coin experts say this find has rewritten what we thought we knew about 1990s mint production. But what makes this story so powerful isn't just the money. It's what it represents. The thrill of discovery. The chance that something ordinary could be hiding extraordinary value. Imagine checking your spare change one morning and realizing that a simple quarter, something you've held thousands of times, could be your ticket to a life-changing fortune. You don't just find a coin like this, it finds you. His words echoed across coin forums and collecting circles, inspiring thousands of hobbyists to start checking their change again. And while many search for years without finding one, the few who do are forever changed. Each rare coin tells a story, a forgotten chapter of America's minting history, preserved in metal. The 1996 P quarter has become a legend, not because it's flashy or ancient, but because it reminds us that even in the most ordinary places, rare treasures still exist. But here's something most people miss. These valuable quarters are often misidentified. Many sellers online list common 1996 P quarters for hundreds of dollars, but without the telltale doubling, they're just regular coins. Real experts use magnification, precise lighting, and even microscopic imaging to confirm the doubling and the die characteristics. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on authenticated examples, and auction houses have begun listing verified pieces for prices that climb higher every year. Some predict that the next confirmed discovery could break the $2 million mark if it's in pristine, mint-state condition. If you've got a 1996 quarter from your pocket change, grab a magnifying glass. Tilt it under the light. Look for that doubled lettering, that slightly thicker mint mark, and those crisp reflective fields. Because the difference between an ordinary quarter and a life-changing one could be just a few microscopic lines. The truth is, the mint never revealed exactly how many error strikes escaped that year. Some experts estimate fewer than 10 perfect specimens exist. Others believe there could be a few dozen scattered across the country, waiting for someone like you to spot them. But what happened next after that first record-breaking sale made headlines again. The anonymous collector who sold his coin took his earnings and started a scholarship fund for young numismatists. A powerful reminder that a simple coin can spark passion, curiosity, and even generosity. It's easy to forget that behind every rare coin, there's a story, a person who noticed what others ignored. The 1996 P Washington quarter teaches us that sometimes the smallest details hold the biggest rewards. But when collectors realized what it truly was, it sold for nearly $1.8 million. That's right. A single 1972 no-mint mark Washington quarter dollar became one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in American coin history. Now, before you start digging through your coin jar, let me tell you something. This story isn't just about a coin. It's about how something ordinary, forgotten, and overlooked turned into a life-changing fortune, and how it could happen to you next. Back in 1972, the United States Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of quarters. Most were just everyday pocket change, clinking around in vending machines and grocery store counters. But among those millions, a few quarters were struck with something extraordinary, a hidden minting flaw so rare that experts didn't even believe it existed at first. One man in Ohio reportedly found his 1972 quarter while cleaning out his late father's coin collection. He almost spent it on a soda. But something about the coin's shine, its texture, made him stop. He slipped it into his pocket and took it to a local coin shop. And what he heard next changed his life forever. The dealer went silent. He examined the coin under a magnifying glass, then another, and whispered, "Where did you get this?" That one question began the legend of the 1972 no-mint Mark Washington quarter that would later sell at auction for nearly $1.8 million. You see, in 1972, all Philadelphia minted coins were supposed to carry no mint mark. That was standard. So at first glance, a 1972 quarter without a mint mark doesn't sound rare. But here's the twist. A small batch of these coins was struck using leftover proof dies intended for collectors, not circulation. That means sharper details, deeper mirrors, and a finish unlike anything you'd expect to find jingling in your pocket. Collectors call this type of coin a proof strike gone rogue. Somehow, these dies ended up on the production floor, and a few proof quality coins were mixed into general circulation. Most were spent, lost, or damaged, but a handful survived, and those few are now worth small fortunes. But the story doesn't stop there. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. When that Ohio man's coin hit the auction block, bidding started modestly, a few $1,000s. Then, as the details came to light, as graders confirmed the coin's near-perfect strike and uncirculated luster, the numbers skyrocketed. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, until the hammer fell at nearly $1.8 million. Dealers were shocked. Collectors couldn't believe their eyes. A coin once thought to be a simple quarter had just rewritten the rules of modern numismatics. This isn't a one-time fluke. Over the years, similar errors have surfaced. Coins struck with proof dies, double dies, or missing mint marks, all hiding in plain sight. In fact, coin experts believe that a few of these 1972 no-mint mark quarters might still be sitting in drawers, jars, or even circulation today. First, look closely at the year, 1972. No mint mark below Washington's neck means it came from Philadelphia. But that alone isn't enough. The key lies in the details. The true million-dollar coin has a mirror-like shine, almost reflective, as if it's been polished. The letters are crisp and sharp, with no blur around Liberty or In God We Trust. Washington's hairlines look deeply struck, not flat. And when you tilt the coin under a light, you might see a faint doubling on the date or the word Liberty. That's a sign it may have been struck twice, a minting anomaly that can multiply the value dramatically. Now, most 1972 quarters are worth their face value, 25 cents. But a handful, if they carry these proof-like characteristics and remain in pristine condition, could be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands. And if you happen to hold one in mint state perfection, the kind that grading companies label MS, 67 or higher, you might just be holding the next million-dollar discovery. Collectors who've dedicated their lives to this craft often say it's not about luck, it's about paying attention. Because fortune hides in the smallest details. Every time you spend a quarter, every time you hand one to a cashier or drop it in a parking meter, you could be letting go of a coin that could change your life. It sounds unbelievable, but so did the story of that Ohio man. Until it happened. The mint didn't even realize their mistake until decades later. Those few proof dies slipped through the cracks, quietly striking coins that looked almost too perfect for circulation. By the time they found out, the coins had already spread across the country, tucked into wallets, purses, and cash drawers, waiting for someone sharp enough to notice. This is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It's not just a hobby, it's a hunt, a mystery, and sometimes a miracle. Every old coin you find tells a story. Some stories are worth a few cents, and others are worth $1 million. Collectors today are still searching for that next great find. The coin that will turn an ordinary afternoon into an extraordinary moment. Dealers are on high alert. Buyers are offering record-breaking sums, and stories like this one keep fueling the fire. And who knows? Maybe tonight, when you empty your pockets or check that old coin jar on the shelf, you'll see that same 1972 date glinting back at you. Before you spend it, take a closer look. Study it under the light. Check the shine, the edges, the lettering. Because one man's loose change became his ticket to a new life. And yours could too. Collectors were shocked when that first million-dollar quarter appeared. Now, everyone's wondering how many more are still waiting to be found. A simple 2015 D Blue Ridge Parkway quarter, something millions of Americans have touched, spent, or tossed into a parking meter, turned out to be one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. And the wild part? The man who found it didn't even know what he had. It started in North Carolina, not far from the twisting roads and mountain vistas that inspired the coin's design. A local man emptied his change jar one night, ready to roll his coins for deposit, when one quarter caught the light differently. The shine was off. The color wasn't quite silver. It had a bluish hue, almost like it had been dipped in sky. But when he flipped it over, he saw something else. Something that shouldn't have been there. The mint mark, that tiny D just above the date, looked doubled. Not once, but twice. He thought it was a trick of the light, but after closer inspection under a magnifying glass, it was clear. This quarter had been struck twice, with a perfect double die on both the obverse and reverse. That error alone made collectors' hearts pound. But that wasn't all. When he weighed it, the scale gave another surprise. It was heavier than a normal clad quarter. Somehow, this coin had been minted on a silver planchet that wasn't supposed to exist in 2015. A mint mix-up so rare, experts estimate fewer than 5 could exist. And one of them just sold for $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. He listed it on an online auction site, expecting maybe a few $100s. Within hours, bids were soaring past $10,000, $50,000, $100,000. Coin dealers from across the country were calling him personally, begging to verify its authenticity. Some thought it was fake. Others thought it was the discovery of the decade. When it finally hit the professional grading labs, the results were undeniable. A genuine 2015 D Blue Ridge Parkway quarter, struck on a silver planchet, double die error, mint state perfection. The only one of its kind confirmed so far. Collectors were shocked. Auction houses called it a modern miracle. One veteran dealer was quoted saying, "This coin shouldn't exist. It's like finding a 21st century ghost." And the final hammer price? $1 million. From pocket change to a fortune. But the story doesn't end there. After that discovery, treasure hunters from all over the country began checking their 2015 D quarters. Some found coins with slight die shifts, missing letters, and even ghost-like doubling around the edge of Washington's profile. Each one worth anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s, depending on the condition and error type. What most people don't realize is that the 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway quarter was one of the most technically challenging designs in the entire America the Beautiful series. The intricate curves of the road, the tunnel effect, and the layered landscape created unusual stress on the dies. Those conditions led to unexpected striking errors, and that's where the gold, or should I say silver, lies hidden. Dealers are still whispering about a second rumored specimen, one believed to be in a private collection somewhere in Colorado. If that coin ever surfaces, it could rival the $1 million mark again. And just imagine, one of those coins could be sitting unnoticed in a desk drawer, a coin jar, or even in the pocket of your old hiking jacket from a trip to the Smoky Mountains. But here's where things get even crazier. In late 2016, a former Mint employee anonymously hinted online that a few silver blanks from the 1990s had been mistakenly mixed into a later batch of copper-nickel planchets. He claimed they were accidentally struck for the 2015 D run before the error was caught. If that's true, there could be more out there, uncirculated, undiscovered, and waiting. This tiny detail, the wrong metal, is what transforms a 25-cent coin into a $1 million masterpiece. Most people miss it because the color difference is subtle. Under warm light, it looks normal. But under cool, white light, that faint blue-silver shimmer gives it away. Collectors have since developed quick at-home tests. One is the weight test. A standard quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. The silver error version? Closer to 6.25 grams. Another giveaway is the sound test. Tap it gently on a wooden surface. If it rings like a small bell instead of a dull clink, you might just be holding treasure that he didn't retire immediately. Instead, he started a small coin-finding channel online, sharing stories of rare finds and everyday change. His mission? To remind people that even in an age of digital payments and plastic cards, real money still hides real miracles. His story inspired thousands to start checking their coins again. Collectors from coast to coast have reported rediscovering their passion. Some found minor 2015 D errors worth hundreds. Others just found joy in the hunt. But everyone shared the same dream, that maybe, just maybe, lightning could strike twice. Now, here's what you need to look for. First, check the mint mark, that D under "In God We Trust." If it looks doubled or shadowed, that's your first sign. Next, examine the edges and Washington's profile. Look for ghostly outlines or faint doubling, especially near the jawline and hair. Flip the coin and inspect the tunnel on the reverse. Any extra metal, misaligned lines, or doubling around the tunnel arch could mean you found a valuable strike. Finally, if the coin's color seems slightly bluish or heavier than usual, do not clean it, do not polish it, and definitely do not spend it, because this exact quarter, the 2015 D Blue Ridge Parkway, has already changed one man's life forever. It's proof that fortune still hides in plain sight. Collectors are searching, dealers are watching, and the mint's own history is keeping its secrets close. But one thing's for sure, these coins are out there. And the next one could be in your pocket right now. Every time you hear that metallic jingle of loose change, remember, one small detail could mean the difference between 25 cents and $1 million. So check your quarters carefully, hold on to your finds, and never underestimate the hidden power of a simple coin. I'm talking about the 2003 P Main quarter dollar, a coin so ordinary in appearance, yet so full of mystery that it's rewriting what we thought we knew about modern U.S. coinage. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter from your spare change. A pine tree, a lighthouse, a calm sea. Nothing strange, right? But beneath that simple design hides a rare minting flaw that transformed one everyday quarter into a million-dollar treasure. And what's even crazier, this coin wasn't discovered in a vault or museum. It was found by accident in a pocket full of coins destined for a vending machine. The story begins back in 2003, when the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia struck millions of Maine quarters to celebrate the state's proud maritime history. Everything seemed routine, but somewhere in that high-speed production line, something went terribly, or perhaps miraculously, wrong. A single die misalignment, barely noticeable, created a coin that looked normal to everyone, except to one sharp-eyed collector decades later. Dealers are still debating how this even happened. Some claim it was a double die obverse error, with faint doubling around the word liberty. Others swear it's a transitional planchet error, meaning the coin was struck on the wrong metal blank. But what no one can deny is this. When the coin was authenticated, collectors were stunned. The grading company's report confirmed it. A genuine mint error from the 2003 P Main quarter series. That's when jaws dropped. The bidding started modestly, a few $100s, just another oddity for enthusiasts. But within minutes, the price skyrocketed past six figures. Phones were ringing off the hook. Collectors couldn't believe what they were seeing. Then, in a moment that still echoes through the coin community, the final bid was hammered in. Over $1.1 million for a single quarter that once lived in someone's change jar. But what makes this story truly unbelievable is how close it came to being lost forever. The man who found it wasn't even a serious collector. He was just an everyday guy cleaning out his old desk. He'd been saving change for years, tossing coins into a jar without a second thought. One night, after watching a YouTube video about rare quarters, he decided to check a few of his own. That's when he spotted something strange. The edges of one coin looked slightly different, thicker, like it had been struck off-centered. He almost dismissed it. Almost. But something told him to take a second look. And that small moment of curiosity changed his life forever. But here's where the story takes another wild turn. After that coin sold, reports started flooding in from all over the country. People began checking their change, their old jars, their dresser drawers. Some found similar features, a faint doubling on the letters, slightly misaligned designs, even different edge textures. Could there be more of these hidden out there? Experts believe yes. In fact, some numismatists estimate there could be less than 10 surviving examples in circulation today, quietly hiding among billions of regular quarters. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The U.S. Mint, when asked about the anomaly, gave a carefully worded statement. There are no known intentional variations within the 2003 Main quarter production. That's Mint speak for. We didn't mean to do it, but it happened. And that silence only fueled the mystery more. Dealers are now on high alert. Coin shows across the country have seen collectors lining up with magnifiers, holding every main quarter under bright lights, hoping to spot the next million-dollar miracle. Some experts even believe the original error may have been caused by leftover planchets from a previous state quarter issue. Imagine that, a piece of metal meant for another coin, accidentally pressed with Maine's design. It's the kind of fluke that only happens once in a lifetime. Collectors say this kind of discovery is what keeps them hunting. That feeling when you realize something so small, so ordinary, could hold unimaginable value. It's not just about the money, though $1 million certainly doesn't hurt. It's about uncovering history in your hands. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story can change your life. And here's the thing most people miss. You don't need expensive tools or years of experience to find one of these treasures. All it takes is patience, good lighting, and curiosity. If you've got any 2003 quarters, especially those with a Philadelphia mint mark, the tiny letter P just beside George Washington's ponytail, grab a magnifying glass. Look closely at the lettering around United States of America and Liberty. If you notice slight doubling, a thicker rim, or a slightly misaligned strike, don't ignore it. That's exactly what sets this coin apart. Another telltale sign is the luster. Genuine error coins often have a different shine, especially around the edges. And if the color looks just a bit off, maybe too silvery, maybe too dull, it could be struck on the wrong planchet. Those are the ones changing hands for life-changing money. Now here's something most collectors won't tell you. There are fakes out there. Some people try to create artificial doubling or polish the edges to mimic the look of a mint error. Don't fall for it. Real error coins are subtle. They hide their secrets beneath careful examination, and that's part of what makes them so exciting to find. So, if you've got a jar of quarters at home, start searching. Pull out those main quarters, check that little P, and look for anything unusual. You never know what might be staring back at you from that shiny silver surface. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And if history has shown us anything, it's that lightning can strike twice. The next incredible find could belong to you. So take a second look. Hold that quarter up to the light, because the